You might hear a little bit of background music in this one. So, we are doing Unit 1, Political Systems, Regimes, and Governments, Topic 1.8, Political Legitimacy. The purpose of this is educational only, and it completely is in line with the AP Comparative Government and Politics curriculum. After this topic, you are going to be able to define legitimacy, identify the sources of legitimacy, describe how two countries maintain their legitimacy, and describe how Freedom House comes up with their rankings. I might have moved that last one. So let me see. Okay. So legitimacy, by definition, is the degree to which a government's right to rule is accepted by the citizens. It's basically the consent to govern. Do you think that your government and the people within your government have the right to make decisions on your behalf? Now, what can increase that feeling of legitimacy or that sense of legitimacy is having popular elections and having a system of government where there is a high level of efficacy, where people believe that they can influence the government through elections and participation. Another thing that you can have is constitutional rule of law. So remember rule of law from the earlier topics. That's when nobody has all of the power. There are institutional laws. There are checks and balances. There's limited government. Nobody can just take charge and tell everybody what to do. A source of legitimacy can be nationalism, where there's strong identification with the interest of your nation. Basically, you're on team whatever your country is. All right, tradition, maintaining what has always been in place. Effectiveness of policy and a strong economy. If your government's action is working and people are satisfied with how government is providing solutions to their problems, that's a sense that can provide legitimacy. Religious or ethnic heritage, which is very close to nationalism and tradition. So the officials are a part of the majority group or religion. And charismatic authority, a leader can effectively concentrate power under just their personality. So where are the elections? The free and the fairest, Freedom House rankings. All right, so we have 12 being the best, the yellow being the worst. So we'll go through United States, not the best, but better than Mexico. UK is better than the United States. Nigeria and Mexico are comparable. Iran's sitting at a 3 to 4. Russia is 1 to 2, and well, basically, forget it in China. GDP growth rates, because again, strong economies matter, and strong economies will make the people trust the government and give them consent to govern over them. All right, so economic growth is popping in China. Economic growth isn't doing too bad in Nigeria, Mexico. The United Kingdom, not looking too great in Iran, and that's going to cause some issues for the Iranian government, and pretty stable in Russia. All right. Iran is going to get a lot of their source of legitimacy from religion. So it's Shia Islam is in place, basically following the Islamic Revolution in 1979. You had religious leaders leading with this idea of juris guardianship over the country. Please ignore that and make it right. So over the country, juris guardianship is the idea that you have the right to rule because Allah has given you the right to rule, and then you also are going to make sure that everybody within the country is following all of the appropriate Islamic tenets. China, their legitimacy comes from the Communist Party, being able to maintain order since the 1949 revolution. There is also a strong sense of Han Chinese, being the majority ethnicity, Han Chinese nationalism, and consistent economic growth. Similarities and differences do matter, and similarities and differences in these countries. Iran's source of authority is centered in Islam. China's source of authority is centered on the party. The similarities is both regimes came to power through popular revolution. So the people of the country also believe in that tradition, like the CCP, the Communist Party of China, and the Islamic Revolution have set up these regimes, and they have the right to rule over the people. All right, Mexico has a constitution. So you have constitutional rule of law since 1917, which allow for popular elections. But to be honest with you, those popular elections really saw that there was a system that advanced one political party, the PRI. So the legitimacy now in Mexico is kind of increasing with that sense of efficacy that rose after the electoral reforms that made it a multi-party system marked by the 2000 election of PAN candidate Vicente Fox. Nigeria, also constitutional rule of law since 1999, which checked the power of the executive so they wouldn't continue to have those strong men military coups. And now there's peaceful transfers of power. So similarities is that Mexico also has a constitution, but they had a history of one party that they're reversing. Nigeria has a newer constitution with a history of military coup, which they're starting to reverse that idea of a strongman. The similarities is the constitutional rule of law. All right, Russia. Russia is all about Putin's charismatic authority. He was a figure that's able to concentrate power amongst the political elites and the most rich people of Russia since 1999. He's pushing an agenda that's focused on Russian nationalism and economic growth. United Kingdom, tradition under the constitutional monarchy, who has the constitutional monarchy gave the power to the government, which is now a popularly elected parliament. And the parliament has sovereignty and gives it, and the parliament is considered legitimate. So similarities, Russia's charismatic authority and nationalism, UK popularly elected parliament. And then the similarities is that there's elections in Russia too. I'm not saying that they're free and fair, but there are elections. All right, that is it.